The cafe was a sanctuary against the storm, rain whispering secrets against the glass as Ryan Martinez meticulously wiped down the familiar tables. His daughter, Mia, a vibrant splash of color amidst the muted tones, was engrossed in her artwork at their usual windowside haven. At 34, his life had settled into a comfortable rhythm, a melody composed of simple, familiar notes. Picking Mia up from kindergarten, the comforting aroma of coffee mingling with the scent of crayons in the cafe where he worked, ensuring her small world was filled with colorful possibilities while he navigated his shift. It wasn't the symphony he'd envisioned at 20, when the world stretched before him like an endless, uncharted map, but it was a good life, a testament to resilience built on the foundations of hardship. He carried a quiet pride in the battles he'd fought and the peace he'd found. The chime of the entrance bell sliced through the gentle murmur of the cafe, ushering in a gust of wind and a woman who shook the rain from her shimmering blonde hair like a willow tree shedding its leaves. She wore an impeccably tailored white blouse paired with dark jeans, an ensemble that spoke of effortless elegance, and there was an undeniable grace in her movements that stole Ryan's breath. He knew her. Despite the passage of 15 years, the memories, vibrant and untarnished, were instantly, irrevocably, hers. Claire. The name escaped his lips before he could restrain it, a whispered echo of a forgotten dream. The woman turned, and her eyes widened, mirroring the shock of recognition that coursed through him. "Ryan," she breathed. "Oh my God, Ryan Martinez." They stood frozen, separated by the expanse of the cafe, yet bound by a shared history, the years melting away like snowflakes on warm skin. Claire Donovan had been his first love, his high school sweetheart, the girl with whom he'd meticulously sketched out a future filled with shared dreams and whispered promises, before life had intervened, leading them down divergent paths, each a world away from the other. "Daddy, who's that?" Mia's innocent voice, a delicate chime, broke the spell, drawing Ryan back to the present moment, grounding him in the reality of his life. "An old friend, sweetheart," he replied, his voice betraying a hint of the tremor that ran through him. "Claire, this is my daughter, Mia." Claire approached their table, her polished, professional demeanor softening, giving way to a genuine warmth that radiated from her like sunlight. "Hello, Mia," she said, her voice gentle and inviting. "What are you drawing?" Mia, momentarily shy but brimming with pride, held up her artwork for Claire to admire. "A rainbow with a unicorn," she announced, her eyes sparkling with delight. "That's beautiful," Claire exclaimed, her gaze lingering on the colorful creation. "I love the purple you used." Ryan gestured towards an empty chair. "Would you like to sit down?" he asked, a nervous energy thrumming beneath his calm facade. "I'm actually working, but my shift ends in about 20 minutes. "I'd like that." Claire settled into the chair, her presence filling the space, and Ryan, with a focused determination to appear normal, brought her a coffee before returning to his duties, acutely, almost painfully, aware of her every movement, every breath, every subtle shift in her expression. When his shift finally ended, each minute stretching into an eternity, Ryan joined Claire and Mia at the table, his heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Up close, he could see the subtle changes time had wrought, the inevitable marks that life etched onto the soul. There were delicate laugh lines radiating from the corners of her eyes, testament to shared joy and quiet amusement. There was a newfound confidence in her bearing, a quiet strength that hadn't been present in the wide-eyed innocence of their youth. "So," Claire began, breaking the silence, her voice tinged with curiosity, "tell me about your life. How did you end up here?" Ryan took a deep breath, preparing himself for the inevitable, the condensed version of a life lived, a story that could never truly capture the complexities and nuances of his experiences. "After we broke up, I went to community college, just like we'd planned," he began, his voice a low murmur. "Met someone, got married too young. Mia came along when I was 28. The marriage didn't last. I've had custody of Mia for 2 years now. I work here and do freelance graphic design on the side." Claire's expression softened with empathy. "I'm sorry about your marriage," she said sincerely. "Don't be," Ryan replied, a hint of resignation in his voice. "We were better parents apart than together. Mia's happy, which is what matters. He paused, allowing the silence to linger for a moment. What about you? Last I heard, you'd gotten into Stanford. Claire smiled, but there was a hint of melancholy in her eyes, a wistful undertone that betrayed the sacrifices she'd made along the way. I did, she confirmed. Got my MBA, worked my way up in tech. I'm the CEO of Donovan Digital now. We do software solutions for small businesses. That's incredible, Ryan exclaimed, genuinely impressed. You always said you'd run a company someday. I did, she said, her voice flat, almost devoid of emotion. And I do. It's everything I worked for. She looked out at the rain-streaked window, her gaze distant. It's also lonely. I'm 34 years old, and I've built an empire, but I've forgotten to build a life. Ryan understood that feeling more deeply than she probably realized. He had sacrificed his own dreams, his own ambitions, for the sake of his daughter, and while he wouldn't trade Mia for anything, he often felt a pang of regret for the path not taken. I know what you mean, he said softly. Different circumstances, but I get it. Success looks different than we imagined. Do you regret the way things turned out sometimes? Claire asked, her eyes searching his, seeking a flicker of shared understanding. Ryan hesitated, considering the question carefully. Sometimes, he admitted. But then Mia laughs at something silly, or draws me a picture, or tells me about her day. And I remember that some detours lead exactly where you need to be. They talked for over an hour, navigating the complexities of the past 15 years, filling in the gaps, sharing the triumphs and the heartaches, and discovering the lingering echoes of the people they used to be, still woven into the fabric of who they had become. Mia, oblivious to the emotional undercurrents swirling around her, colored and occasionally interjected with observations about unicorns or requests for more juice, her presence a comforting anchor in the turbulent sea of their reunion. When Claire finally stood to leave, a sense of reluctance hung in the air, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken connection that had been rekindled. Ryan, she hesitated. Would you want to get coffee sometime? Actually get coffee, not just happen to be in the same cafe? Ryan's heart skipped a beat, a surge of hope flooding through him. I'd like that, he replied, his voice betraying his eagerness. Though I should be honest, my schedule is complicated. I have Mia most of the time, and I work 2 jobs, and dating hasn't been a priority because I don't have much to offer right now. Claire looked at him directly, her eyes filled with a depth of sincerity that disarmed him. I'm not asking because I think you need rescuing, or because I'm looking for a project, she said firmly. I'm asking because talking to you for an hour was the most genuine conversation I've had in months, and because I'd like to know the person you've become, not just remember who you were. They exchanged numbers, a small, yet significant act that held the weight of possibility, and Claire bent down to Mia's level, her eyes twinkling. It was very nice to meet you, Mia, she said warmly. You're an excellent artist. Thank you, Mia replied, her shyness dissipating under Claire's genuine attention. Are you going to be my daddy's friend? I hope so, Claire said, her gaze shifting to Ryan, a silent question in her eyes, if that's okay with you. Okay, Mia declared, her decision made. But you have to like rainbows and unicorns. Claire laughed, a light, melodic sound that filled the cafe. I think I can manage that, she assured her. Over the following weeks, Ryan and Claire embarked on a journey of rediscovery, building a friendship that was not merely a continuation of their past, but something entirely new, forged in the fires of experience and tempered by the wisdom of time. They met for coffee whenever Ryan's demanding schedule allowed, sometimes with Mia in tow, her presence adding a layer of innocent joy to their conversations, sometimes alone, allowing them to delve deeper into the complexities of their lives. They exchanged texts, sharing mundane details, thought-provoking articles, frustrations with work, Mia's latest artistic creations, the threads of their lives slowly intertwining, creating a tapestry of shared experiences. Claire learned about the intricacies of Ryan's life, the daily struggles of single parenthood, the constant exhaustion of juggling multiple jobs, the perpetual calculations of whether he could afford new shoes for Mia or if he should postpone the purchase for another month. She witnessed his resourcefulness, his unwavering devotion to his daughter, and the quiet strength that emanated from him, a testament to the hardships he had overcome. Ryan, in turn, learned about the sacrifices Claire had made in pursuit of her career, The relationships that had faltered under the weight of her ambition, the friendships that had faded as she ascended the corporate ladder. He sensed a persistent feeling of emptiness beneath her polished exterior, a nagging doubt that haunted her despite her achievements, a realization that she had attained everything she had strived for, but had somehow forgotten to ask herself if those accomplishments truly made her happy. "I have everything I thought I wanted," Claire confessed one afternoon at the park, while Mia played on the swings, her laughter echoing through the air. "A successful company, financial security, respect in my field. But I eat dinner alone every night. I work weekends because I have nothing else to do. I can't remember the last time someone asked how my day was and actually cared about the answer." "Success is different for everyone," Ryan said, his voice gentle and understanding. "For me right now, success is Mia being happy and healthy. Everything else is just logistics." "Don't you want more?" Claire asked, her eyes searching his. "Don't you have dreams beyond just getting by?" "Of course," Ryan replied, his gaze drifting towards Mia, her silhouette framed against the golden sunlight. "But dreams are flexible. I used to dream about being a famous designer, having gallery shows, making a name for myself. Now I dream about having health insurance that covers dental, about saving enough to take Mia to Disneyland, about maybe someday having a relationship with someone who understands that my daughter comes first, but who I can build something with anyway." Claire was quiet for a moment, absorbing his words, contemplating the shift in his perspective. "That sounds like a good dream," she said softly. As their friendship deepened, they both felt the undeniable pull of something more, a magnetic force drawing them closer, blurring the lines between friendship and romance. But they were cautious, both having learned the hard way that wanting something wasn't enough to make it work, that true love required more than just longing and desire. 3 months into their renewed friendship, Claire made a decision, a leap of faith that could either propel them towards a shared future or send them spiraling back into their separate lives. "Ryan, I need to be honest with you about something," she said, her voice trembling slightly. They were at the café again, the familiar sanctuary where their paths had converged, Mia at her art table, her world filled with rainbows and unicorns, the rain drumming against the windows, mirroring the nervous energy that coursed through Claire. "I have feelings for you," she confessed, her eyes fixed on his. "Real feelings. And I know that's complicated, because we're in very different places in life. I'm a CEO with resources and flexibility. You're a single dad working 2 jobs, just to make ends meet. And I don't want you to think I'm coming at this from a place of wanting to fix your life or rescue you." Ryan felt his heart pounding in his chest, a mixture of hope and fear swirling within him. "What are you coming at this from?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "From wanting to be part of your life," Claire replied, her voice filled with conviction. "From admiring the father you are and the person you've become. From thinking about you when I should be thinking about quarterly earnings. From wanting to text you about everything and nothing. From caring about Mia and wanting to be someone she can count on." Ryan hesitated, the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him. "Claire, I can't offer you the kind of life you're used to," he said, his voice laced with uncertainty. "I can't take you to fancy restaurants or go on expensive trips. My apartment is small. My car is old. My ex-wife drama is ongoing. And Mia will always come first." "I know," Claire said, her voice firm, unwavering. "And I'm not asking you to offer me a lifestyle. I'm asking if there's room in your life for someone who wants to be part of it. Who wants movie nights on your couch and park trips with Mia and whatever life actually looks like for you, not some fantasy version." "What about the difference in our circumstances?" Ryan asked, his brow furrowed. "That doesn't bother you?" "Honestly, I make more money than I know what to do with," Claire admitted, a hint of weariness in her voice. "Money stopped mattering to me a long time ago. What matters is finding people who see me as Claire, not as the CEO or the successful woman or the potential business connection. You see me, you always have." Ryan reached out and took her hand, his touch sending a jolt of electricity through him. "I have feelings for you too," he confessed, his voice filled with emotion. "I've been trying not to, because it seemed impossible. But yeah, I think about you constantly. I want to call you when something funny happens. I love that Mia lights up when she knows you're coming over. I love that you bring her art supplies, and that you remember which unicorn is her favorite." He paused, his gaze searching hers. "So can we try this? Carefully, slowly, with Mia's needs first? Yes, Claire replied, her eyes shining with hope. But Ryan, I need you to understand something, she added, her voice becoming serious. I can't afford to fail Mia. She's already been through her parents' divorce. If we do this and it doesn't work out, it affects her too. So we have to be sure, or as sure as anyone can be. I understand, Ryan said, his grip tightening on her hand. We'll take it slow. We'll be intentional. And if either of us has doubts, we talk about them. They dated for a year before Claire met Ryan's parents, before they talked about a future that included both of them, before they introduced the idea of a blended family to Mia. They were careful and deliberate, building a foundation of trust and respect, forging something solid rather than rushing into something that might crumble under the weight of unrealistic expectations. Claire didn't try to solve Ryan's financial problems with money. She knew that would undermine his sense of independence and self-worth. Instead, she used her business acumen and her vast network to help him build his freelance design business, making connections, reviewing his portfolio, teaching him how to price his work appropriately, empowering him to take control of his own financial future. Ryan started earning enough that he could cut back his cafe hours and spend more time with Mia, a dream he had long cherished. Ryan, in turn, didn't treat Claire like an ATM or expect her to fund their relationship. He was determined to contribute his fair share, to maintain his independence, even when it would have been easier to let her cover everything. He knew that true partnership required mutual respect and shared responsibility. They built something extraordinary, a relationship based on mutual respect and genuine partnership, where her business acumen and his creative skills complemented each other, where her resources and his resilience created something neither of them could have built alone. They learned from each other, supported each other's dreams, and challenged each other to grow, creating a bond that was stronger and more resilient than either of them could have imagined. 2 years after their reunion, Claire proposed, not in a grand, ostentatious display of wealth, but in the cafe where they had found each other again, the place that held so many precious memories, with Mia there to witness the culmination of their love story. I want to marry you, Claire said simply, her voice filled with love and sincerity. I want to be Mia's stepmom. I want us to be a family, not because I'm rescuing you, or because you need me, but because we're better together than apart. Ryan looked at his daughter, who was bouncing with excitement, clearly in on the plan, her eyes shining with anticipation. Then he looked at Claire, her face radiant with hope and certainty, her love shining through. Yes, he said, his voice filled with emotion. But I have a condition. What's that? Claire asked, her brow furrowed with curiosity. I want to contribute equally to our life together, Ryan replied, his voice firm, unwavering. Not financially, because that's never going to be equal, but in partnership, in decision-making, in building our future. I won't be a kept man, or a plus one to your life. I want to be your husband, your equal partner. Even if our bank accounts don't match, I want to contribute equally to our shared life. Claire smiled, her eyes filled with admiration. I wouldn't want it any other way, she said softly. They married 6 months later, in a small, intimate ceremony that reflected both their values and their unique personalities. Claire's elegant taste and Ryan's creative vision combined into something truly special, a celebration of their love and their commitment to building a life together. Mia was the flower girl, and she took her role very seriously, scattering petals with the grace and enthusiasm of a seasoned performer. Years later, when people asked how they had made their relationship work, despite coming from such different backgrounds and circumstances, Claire would say, "We didn't try to erase our differences or pretend they didn't matter. We acknowledged them, and we built something that honored both our strengths and our vulnerabilities." Ryan would add, "She didn't rescue me, and I didn't hold her back. We met each other where we were, and we built something new together, something stronger and more beautiful than either of us could have imagined." And Mia, when she was older, would tell the story of how her dad and Claire had found each other again in a cafe on a rainy day, how their love had blossomed amidst the everyday realities of life, and how sometimes the best love stories are the ones where people find each other twice. Once when they're young and full of naive dreams, and once when they're wise enough to appreciate the true meaning of love, when they're ready to embrace the imperfections, the challenges, and the unexpected detours that life throws their way. Once when they're ready to build a love that heals, a love that endures, a love that truly lasts.